Your Worship, distinguished guests, veterans, ladies and gentlemen of all ages. There have been a number of solemn 100-year anniversaries lately surrounding the events of World War I. In 2014, we acknowledged the start of the war to end all wars. In 2015, the Second Battle of Ypres. This year, Beaumont-Hamel and the Somme. Next year, Vimy Ridge. But also this year is an anniversary of an event that occurred here in Canada. In 1916, a fire raged through our Parliament buildings, killing 7 people and destroying everything but the library. The Prime Minister announced that when rebuilt, the new bell tower inside that tower would be the memorial chamber, into whose stone walls the name of every fallen Canadian would be carved. When the cornerstone was laid in 1919, it was obvious that the memorial chamber walls did not have enough room to record the names of all the lost. Instead, a book of remembrance was proposed to record the name of 66,000 souls. This book was beautifully illuminated, and it took years to complete. It was not actually finished until 1942, by which time, of course, we all knew that the war to end all wars had done no such thing. The artist who finally completed the first book then began work on the second. Ultimately, he devoted 30 years of his life to the creation of books of remembrance. And today, there are 7 books. Every day, at 11 o'clock, the page of each book is turned, and in this way, every name in every book is seen at least once a year. I've been a reservist for my entire military career. In 2006, which is the 90th anniversary of the Parliament fire, I took leave from my job as a registered nurse at Foothills Emergency to deploy to Afghanistan. Finally. At that time, Corporal Michael Starker was a Calgary paramedic. He had retired from the regular force but was continuing military service as a reservist in our unit. I was picking up my paperwork from my deployment at my unit prior to going, and a lot of people were coming up to me to wish me well. Mike Starker did the same. Now, I didn't actually know him very well at that point, so I was a bit surprised when, after he wished me well, he said, "And ma'am, when a rocket comes in, you get your helmet on, you get down on the ground, and you wait for the all clear." I actually thought that sounded kind of reasonable, so I said, "Yes, sure, of course." And he said, "And stay down." Well, I kind of laughed at that, and then I realized he was staring right at me and he was not laughing. He said, "I'm serious. You ignore any knuckleheads who are wandering around before the all clear. You get your helmet on, you get down and you wait." I said, "I will." He said, "Promise." So I did. So I deployed, and I came home, and then I deployed again. During my deployments, Canadians were killed. Every one of them left Kandahar Airfield by a ramp ceremony. A ramp ceremony is a soldier's goodbye. Everyone lines the route where the soldier is carried on the arms of his comrades into the back of the aircraft that takes him or her home. On parades, soldiers typically line up in 2 or 3 ranks. For ramp ceremonies, the ranks were so deep that if I happened to fall in at the rear, I could only see a wall of backs before me. We salute the entire time. Twice, when 6 soldiers were sent home at one time, I had difficulty maintaining a proper salute till the very end. My arm was shaking with fatigue. During my deployments, there were ramp ceremonies for 34 soldiers. At home, around my deployments, I had grown to know Mike as a friend. We worked together at our reserve unit, and in the emergency department, as a paramedic, Mike kept me supplied with customers. In 2008, it was time for another deployment. This time, I was the unit liaison officer for the families of our deployed members, one of whom was now Mike. I even was given a BlackBerry to talk to family members and call them, which I also used to send emails to Afghanistan. One night, after a tough shift, I wrote Mike a quick email just to check in and say hi, but I was so tired I was feeling like my words weren't making any sense, so I decided to take a look at my email with fresh eyes in the morning and send it then. But very early the next morning, the BlackBerry rang and it was my commanding officer. He notified me, as liaison officer, that something bad had happened, and that's all he could say. Now this is normal protocol. This is so no family will ever discover something bad has happened to their soldier, an injury or a death, through Facebook or social media or a neighbor who saw it on the local news. So all I knew was, somebody is hurt, somebody might be dead, and I was just left with ice in my veins to wait. I wanted to be back in Afghanistan, because there I could do something. What could I do from my kitchen? I quickly retrieved the email I had written to Mike and I just sent it. An irrational part of my brain was insisting that if Mike had an email from me, then the universe would simply have to rearrange itself so that he could read it. My irrational brain assured me that if I wanted to, I could convert a death to an injury, and probably even a minor one. Maybe, said my irrational brain, there wasn't even a casualty. Maybe one of our soldiers' kids had been arrested or totaled his car or burnt down the house, something in comparison quite manageable. Maybe my commanding officer just didn't want our soldier to learn that from me. Of course, our irrational brains are linked tightly to our hearts, and our hearts are too easily broken. Corporal Michael Starker is remembered on page 230 of the In the Service of Canada Book of Remembrance. This book will turn to his page next on December 15th. I've shared a story about Mike, but not his picture. That's because there are thousands of Mikes, and there are yet more men and women who live wounded in body or mind who will never be acknowledged in a book. Today is also about thanking them. To close, I want to thank you. I'm truly honored to be given the opportunity to speak to you. Through your presence here, you are telling me and the other veterans throughout this crowd that you remember, and that for you, today is not just a bonus day off from work or school. This truly means a great deal to me, and I thank you. I thank you on behalf of those who can't. Thank you.